Hey guys, Hero here. Today we are going to speak about the first political issue on the channel. Naturally, being gay myself, as all furries are, this video is about LGBTQ. The video I'm reacting to is by Basic Logic. All sources and credits in the description as always.
So in this video, I'll be debunking the mainstream arguments and ranking them on a tier list. Born this way. The claim is that people are born LGBT. This is simply false. No one is born with any orientation. That is developed later in life. There have been many attempts to find genetic or prenatal causes for orientation, but all studies had to concede the dominance of environmental factors in youth.
While this is true, it is sort of misleading. It, at least to me, seems to imply that they couldn't find any genetic or prenatal causes. This is false, and genetics do play a part. He is correct in that environmental factors so far seem to be the leading cause.
SA, an abusive or absent parent, sexualized environments, among others, have the strongest correlation.
This is blatantly false, and the only sources cited here are the names of 4 studies, all of which are awful. The first 2 links are from the US before we even had basic rights like marriage. The last one has quite a small sample size and doesn't properly control for discrimination. The third link is the best, but even it concludes that sexuality usually exists before such issues. Back to the topic of correlation, most of the correlative factors are innocuous, like having an older brother is one.
Ironically, when people say they've always been this way as long as they can remember, it's proof that they grew up in a perverse environment.
No. Even assuming your own sources and other claims are correct, they're not, there would still be a decent-sized group that were not abused.
The LGBT openly admits and celebrates normalizing that very environment to children through schools, media, and events.
Why are we treating, quote, the LGBT as a single entity with opinions other than gay people should have rights too? Also, this is discussing an implication. First, Basic heavily implies that the only cause found is abusive environments. Then he says that the LGBTQ community celebrates normalizing said environments. No, this is blatantly false.
It's harmless. The argument is that aside from de facto sterilization, LGBT is harmless.
It is. Also, IVF and surrogacy exists, so it's not sterilization. Also squared, LGBT doesn't make somebody gay. Gay people made LGBT. This matters because the implication here is that LGBT itself somehow makes people not want to have children.
The reality is much bleaker. Since LGBT involves the improper use of body parts, it shouldn't be surprising the abundant negative health effects that occur as a result.
Again, this guy conflates LGBT with sexual actions. LGBT does not involve the, quote, improper use of body parts, whatever that means. I assume what he means here is homosexual intercourse. Who defines the proper use of something?
Incontinence being the most commonly cited example, but there are others.
Basic forgot to cite his sources here. Honestly, I'm going to speedrun all of these, quote, negative effects because I'm sure nobody wants this segment to go on for long.
And since the risk of pregnancy is 0 in LGBT relations, many don't feel the need to take precautions, resulting in vastly increased STD rates.
This is largely due to something known as compound disparity. Black and Hispanic individuals also have higher rates of STDs, but a gay black male is almost 90 times the average male. Also, this argument isn't against LGBT, but in favor of better sexual education.
Additionally, same-sex relationships report significantly elevated levels of mental health issues.
Basic goes on to cite 0 sources for this. The only source claim on his board there is higher domestic abuse rates, which is laughable. This is extremely out of context. Ironically, his main claim about awful verses in his holy text, females just have higher domestic abuse rates. This isn't anything against them, it's just true that if you compare relationship types, you'll find that those between 2 males have the lowest domestic abuse rates, and those between 2 females having the highest, opposite sex relations somewhere in between.
And children raised in such environments also face elevated risks of emotional and behavioral issues.
He cited no sources, but this is blatantly false.
None of your business. The argument here is simple. What happens between 2 consenting adults in private is none of your business. And while this isn't a perfect argument, it is solid. What a shame then that the LGBT abandoned it and started making it everyone's business. An entire month needs to be dedicated to making it my business. Every company logo needs to be a rainbow. Every piece of media, even for youth. Open parades showing off their preferences. Children have to be taught in school about what should be none of your business. The irony is that this is simultaneously the best and the worst argument for LGBT. It's the best because of the logic behind it. It's the worst because it goes against everything the LGBT wants. If they can actually live by it, this argument is coherent here.
Honestly, I kinda agree with Basic here. However, I do disagree with his implication that sex ed is somehow bad. Next, he talks about trans youth. I still don't know enough about this topic to speak about it, so I'm skipping that.
The Bible was misinterpreted.
I'll just let him speak here. I completely agree. Paul makes this very clear.
For most members of the LGBT, this argument is irrelevant, but for the religious members, it's important. It claims that biblical passages condemning same-sex relationships are actually about adultery, pagan rituals, etc., and were mistranslated. This is nonsense. On screen, you will see some of the passages from ancient manuscripts in their original language. Make of them as you will. This argument is nothing more than an unsubstantiated lie. Animals do it. This argument claims that animals have been observed engaging in same-sex relations. That's true. They've also been seen engaging in cannibalism and worse. So what's your point? I get that this argument is meant to be a retort to when people say LGBT isn't natural. But what they're claiming is that same-sex relations go against the natural use of involved body parts, which is factual. And the LGBT has no real rebuttal to it other than saying it doesn't matter that it's not the natural use. Weak tier.
Why is that a weak rebuttal? The other two arguments are strawmen or otherwise out of context as rebuttals to even worse arguments, so I'm skipping them. I don't want to waste y'all's time. I agree that the other arguments are bad. See you all later. Make sure to hit your headshots or... wait, that's not my outro.